Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday. This is Carmela Head. I am the Director of Renewal here at the Renewal Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, Concord, North Carolina. And we're so excited that you have taken the opportunity to join us today for Tea Time Tuesday. So I hope that everyone is getting their tea together. Those of us that join in on every Tuesday at noon. Tag your friend, invite your friend, ask your friend to come join us for a wonderful time of reset, a time of pausing, a time of getting still. Good afternoon, Prophet Hope. How are you today? So glad to see you. And so I am so excited that you all have joined us today. Go ahead and tag your friend and do a watch party today. Invite someone in your staff or in your office to join in with us today if they're on their break to come and take a moment to see what we're doing at Tea Time Tuesday. Or maybe you just have a moment of your day that you can devote to reset. And this is a great time to do that. And so I would like to go ahead and just mention once again that we are actually celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month here at the Renewal Center. And with mental health awareness, we hope that you are taking the time to do great things to promote self-care in your life. And so we are continuing with that, with Mental Health Awareness Month. And we want to move forward today with Tea Time Tuesday. And before I do that, we have a special guest on site. Nicole Purnell is here with us today. Nicole, I hope that you are watching us. She is on site with us, and she is located in the thought room. So many of you who some of you who may just be joining us today, we have a thought room which consists of 321 Christian books from different genres, and it's a place to come and think, to read, to gather your thoughts. You can even journal in there. So right now, Nicole is seated inside of the thought room having a cup of tea. So we're just so excited that she stopped by. Good afternoon, Teresa. It's good to see you. Good afternoon, Nicole Purnell. Yeah, she's over there in the thought room. I'm so excited. Hi, Karen. It's good to see you today. Yes, I am so glad to see each and every one of you. And, I want to go ahead and get started and to let you know that we are still featuring our tea of the week, which we're focusing in the month of May, black teas. And so this week we're focusing in on the tea of the week, which is orange pekoe tea. I was thinking about orange pekoe tea, and I grew up with orange pekoe tea. My mother always had that tea inside of the cupboard. So I remember when I did some research on this, I said, I remember having orange pekoe tea. And so let me give you a little bit of information about orange pekoe tea. It is a black tea. It refers to the particular genre or grade of black tea. It is a classification of black tea based on the origin of the leaf. That was very interesting to find that out. And pekoe, the word pekoe refers to the leaf used. When we think about different types of teas, we think about the different tea leaves or where it comes from. And so it refers to the tea leaf that is used. And when brewing, the orange pekoe has an orange tint. Now, it doesn't have an particular orange taste, but it has an orange hue to it. And I thought that was very interesting. So if you guys have ever tasted orange pekoe tea, give me some thumbs up here in the chat or some hearts and let me know that you enjoyed that particular tea. Our book of the week is, I'm going to hold this up, it's called In God's Presence. We have a hard copy in our library and in the thought room. It's called In God's Presence, Daily Devotions with J.I. Packer. And for the month of May, for mental health awareness, we'll be focusing in on devotionals. And how appropriate, because today we'll be talking about affirmations. And many of our devotionals may have affirmations inside of them to help challenge us to speak positive things over our lives every day. And so I want to read a little synopsis about this book. J.I. Packer says of the devotional life, to rush to God's randomly babbling about what is on our mind at the moment, with no pause to realize his greatness and grace and our own sinfulness, smallness, is at once to dishonor him and to make shallow of our own fellowship with him. Dr. Packer, in his book, has taught generations of Christians how to know God better. Now he helps us draw closer to God each day with insightful readings. And it's focusing on what it means to be a part of the family of God. These meditations will lead you into the Father's presence through scripture, prayer, and practical wisdom. And I took the opportunity to look at today's devotional in this particular book, and I found it to be very rewarding. It has a challenge, the devotion itself, scripture, and a prayer at the very end. So I invite you to take a moment this week to settle in with a devotional. And I'm so excited because we're going to move forward with our session today, which is going to be very, I would say, insightful. And before I get off of here, I want to share that Nicole, who's on site, dropped off a very nice supply of tea for us here at the Renewal Center. Thank you, Nicole. We appreciate that very much. And we want to thank everyone for tuning in and always being a support to us here at the Renewal Center. So without further delay, I'm going to bring on our Executive Director, Patrick J. Brown, for the rest of our Tea Time Tuesday.
Thank you for telling me. Thank you. Can you hear me now? Are we good? Okay.
Yes.
Excuse me for that. All right, let me reset and redo this again. Welcome and thank you so much. I was talking and couldn't hear me. Thank you so much for Teresa for pointing that out. Um, Wanted to again, thanks everyone for coming out. I hope that you've been enjoying these Tea Time Tuesdays. So I wanted to briefly just get from you, what have you benefited from Tea Time Tuesday lately? I'd like to get some feedback from you. We've been at this for a couple of months now. This is new, a new approach to us building community and releasing the vision of one aspect of our vision of the Renewal Center. So as we are locating ourselves, which is what we discuss, what is it that you are benefiting? How are you enjoying Tea Time Tuesday? What are some of the things that are takeaways for you? Let's not locate ourselves like that today. Like, what does this do? How does this add to where you are, add to your day? Just want to hear from you. So if you can share that, and then also while you're doing that, what teas do you have today? What teas are you drinking today? That'd be great to hear from you. So I'm here on site at the Renewal Center, here in the action room, and as we're having our tea today, I want to have a discussion about how to actualize our affirmations. We're celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month, and part of mental health awareness is what we're thinking, how we're feeling, being able to identify what we're feeling and what we're thinking and why. But also, one way of doing that is by how we affirm ourselves, and devotionals add to that. And so today I want to do basically a talk concerning how do we navigate affirmations when we're speaking words, we're speaking positively, but we're not seeing it. My volume is low. Okay, let me turn it all the way up here. All right, is that better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Still getting used to this mic, so excuse me. Thank you so much. So if you can share with us, please, what are you gaining from Tea Time Tuesday? How is this in addition to your day, to your Tuesdays? What do you look forward to, and what tea are you drinking today? So as we're doing that practice right now, that's going to help us continue to expand our offer. So we would like to hear from you. And again, Carmela, thank you so much for kicking us off today.
Thank you.
All right. So today we're going to uh, focus on affirmations and how to actualize affirmations. And so, how critical it is for us to be able to know how do we actualize that. We live in a world where there's a lot of words. We live in a soundbite culture. We're inundated with information. Sometimes we're overwhelmed with information. So, how do we actually actualize affirmations? And so that's important that we're able to focus specifically on how to actualize it. So I have a few points I'd like to share with us today that I think will be very helpful in actualizing our affirmations. All right. And then I want to share my screen and just give you a few pointers I think will be helpful. We're going to go through seven different points that I think will be helpful for us today so that we can continue to see our affirmations come into actualization. And we're going to start off with avoiding suppressing negative thoughts. Avoid suppressing negative thoughts. So that's important that we avoid suppressing negative thoughts, because many times what we do is we try to constantly fight them. When something comes into our minds, a thought, and many times what we end up doing is we think that we are our thoughts and we're not our thoughts. And so there might be a thought that'll pop into your head, you start thinking about it, and then it's like an invitation to tackle an issue. It's like an invitation to try to bring immediate resolution, or to be able to make sure that I'm really focused on trying to bring resolution. So I think it's important that we think about not suppressing that. Oh, let's hear what, okay, Karen, you shared something with us. Karen says it's definitely her time of renewal and time with outstanding leaders and supportive community. Thank you so much for sharing that. If anybody else wants to share as we're in our time today, again, this is a conversation. I know that we may not be able to speak directly, but I'd like to definitely hear your comments as we grow as well. And so good to have all of you on today for Tea Time. So I'd like to start out with us thinking about not avoiding or not suppressing our negative thoughts, and how important it is for us to not suppress them. You know, let's not push them down and bury them to where we don't have access to them. Let's do an example of what that means when it comes to affirmations. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. First thing I'd like for us to do is I'd like for you to think about this thought. Okay. I'm never going to finish this task. I'm never going to finish this task. Now that's a thought that goes into your head. I'm never going to finish this task. Now, if you think that, what would be the feeling that comes with that, perhaps? What would you think the feeling would be when you think that? Anybody? If you are thinking, I'm never going to finish this task, then there is an accompanied emotion or feeling that comes with that thought. So let's identify what those feelings are. We have a thought, and again, we're avoiding suppressing negative thoughts. That negative thought comes, I'm never going to finish this task. I'm not going to get it done. Then what's the feeling that comes as a result of that? Perhaps the feeling is maybe stress, maybe a sense of being overwhelmed, because as you get closer to the timeline or the due date, then I'm not able to complete it. So sometimes there's a little stress that comes, and I feel a sense of being overwhelmed because I thought I'm never going to finish this task. So once we do that, here's the question I want you to ask. Is your thought 100% accurate? Is your thought 100% accurate? I'll never finish this task. Is that really accurate? And here's the place that we want to experience is when a thought comes, we want to sit with that thought, not suppress it, and begin to think, is this 100% accurate? Might there be a more true, a more compassionate view of what I'm thinking right now? And so that means we accept the thought, we let it come, then we experience an emotion that comes or a feeling, but then we question it. And we ask ourselves, is this really true? Is it 100% accurate? Really? No, it's not, because there's such thing as never, right? So we may need to update that thought. So here's one way we can actualize our affirmations. And the reason why we're working on that is because we speak things, we declare things, we release things out of our mouths and our words that affirm ourselves, but then we end up suppressing, the negative thought instead of encountering it and saying, okay, it's there. And then there's a feeling that is accompanied by it. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask myself, is this 100% accurate? Is it an accurate thought? And might there be a more compassionate, a much more truthful view of what I just thought? So here's what I want to encourage us to do. When the negative thought comes, all right, and we're talking about actualizing affirmations, when the negative thought comes, then let's not suppress it. Let's think about it. Let's let it be there. There's an emotion that's connected potentially to that thought. But let's also question, and now let's update that thought. So here's a practice. The update might say, it might take some time, but I will get this finished. It might take some time, but I'm going to get this action item or this task completed. And so it's important at times that we update what we're thinking. So it's important that what we do is that we question, we make sure that we ask ourselves, is my thought 100% accurate? And I want to encourage you in your affirmation journey that you think through, that you feel it, and then you question it. Is the thought accurate? Is there a more compassionate view? All right. Ask yourself that, write that down. Is there a more compassionate view, a more loving view, a more understanding and empathetic view? Why? Because that causes us to take control over that thought that comes, where it no longer dominates us. All right. So I just wanted to point that out. Again, number one, in our journey, let's avoid suppressing negative thoughts. That's number one. Okay, number two. So now you have a new thought. Now let's see the reality. See the reality. That's number two. We're going to start seeing the reality. What does this mean when we say seeing the reality? You know, when we're positive, when we have an affirmation, it's really about presence. Affirmation is about presence. Positivity is about presence, but it's also about seeing what's there. So when we see reality, it's seeing what is in front of me, and I see what's in front of me, and then I begin to work on that. It's okay to work on having improvements. It's okay to bring confidence to the table. It is good to bring that confidence to the table, but also let's have what I like to encourage us to call flexible optimism. All right. So if we see the reality, when we see the reality, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging where we are and just be. Accept where we are. I see the reality. And as a result of seeing the reality, I know I'm going to continue to grow. So if I know that I'm going to continue to grow, then I go through compassionate reflection. Compassionate reflection. All right. This is important. When we are in what we call compassionate reflection, what we end up doing is we're reflecting on the reality about what we're seeing. And when we see the reality and we accept it for where it is, then what we do is we minimize our clever stories. We minimize our narratives because we tell ourselves narratives. And so when we see the reality, we have a flexible optimism that's a little bit more appropriate, because what I'm doing now is I recognizing that I can be compassionate in my reflection, and then I can now chart a more innovative and a more creative course, all right, in how I'm going to affirm myself. Because we speak a lot of words, we speak things into existence, we think things into existence. Psychiatrists and psychologists and even some medical professionals have said that many of our illnesses are psychologically driven. Many times we think specific thought processes that impact our bodies, and our particular chemicals are released into our bodies that can damage our bodies. And so it's important that we see the reality, and that helps us stay in control. Okay. So compassionate reflection. So number one, let's go back to our chart here today. How to actualize your affirmations. Let's avoid suppressing negative thoughts. Number two, let's see the reality. And number three, develop mental agility. Mental agility. Now, what is mental agility? This is when we don't allow ourselves to get into extremist thinking, black and white thinking. When we start getting into black and white thinking, us or them, you're either for me or against me, right? We're up or we're down, extremist. There are other colors in the spectrum, Doesn't always have to be black and white. So I think it's important that if we're going to actualize affirmations, here's something I want you to consider. There are words that we use that are extremist. What are those? What are some of those potent extremist words that people use? Words like no one, words like never, words like always. These are terms that people use many times. We'll say, well, no one understands what I've experienced. You never. Why do I never do this? Or we'll use the proverbial word always. I just always make this mistake, or I'm always this and I'm always that. There it is, always. See, always, never, no one. That means we need to develop mental agility. So if you find yourself saying, well, nobody understands what I'm going through, or everybody and always and never, come on now, never. You're never on time. I mean, never. You're always, always. Is it true? And we do that to ourselves. I'm not saying about what we do to others, what we do to ourselves, using words like never and always shows us, let's develop some mental agility here and allow ourselves to be agile. We don't want to get into a place where we are stuck because we're using the words never. I'll never be able to lose weight. I'll never be healthy. I'll always be in this situation. It seems like I'll always be rejected, or nobody understands my rejection. No one understands how this has hurt me or this has impacted me. See, no one, always, never. It seems like things will never get any better. Things can change tomorrow. So one way that we can develop mental agility is living in the now, not living in the next. See, when we live in the now, we're embracing where we are when we're living in the now. I've had situations where I've used the word never before, and I probably shouldn't have, but nonetheless I did. Okay. And when I began to use that word never, I was empowering this lack of mental agility by using the word never. It seems like things will never change. And, or we'll say things like, it is what it is. That's just how it's going to be. What you're really saying is it's always going to be that way. See, we'll use these trite phrases and use these terms that are being said. I think we need to sip our tea on this one. Ooh, this ginger is good. Thank you, Carmel. This ginger is good today. I like strong ginger in ginger tea. It just does something to you. So here's what it is. When we say things like that, they're either words that are tragic or words that are magic. Not in the sense of magic, but in the sense of tragic words build walls. Magic words bring them together. So there are times when we're using words that are, when we're not in mental or verbal agility, what ends up happening is that we start using words that create barriers or create disconnection. It creates disconnection. You ever talk to somebody in customer service and you need to get something done, and oh well, maybe we'll be out there by 10 o'clock. What do you mean maybe? Okay, something's wrong with my service. I need you to fix it. Well, we might be there by 10 o'clock, but I'm not sure. But to be honest with you, maybe 11:30. That doesn't help me. All that does is create more distance between me and the resolution. Sometimes we speak those things over ourselves. Well, maybe I'll be there, or possibly, or I might, or never, or always. You see, it shows that when we are not mentally agile or being flexible, that means we're being stuck. So our words have to change to get us unstuck. So if we're one, to use always, to use never. I mean, imagine you right now, if I'm your dentist, right? And I'm a trained dentist, and you really need some work done to your mouth. And here it is. I think I might be able to help you clean your teeth. Maybe I can help you work on that cavity. Maybe I can do the root canal, but I'm not sure if I can help you. Either you're going to do it or you're not, but we say those types of things over ourselves, which is why we may not actualize our affirmations. Let me know what you think about this. Does this make sense to you? Is this something that's relevant in your world, in what you're seeing, perhaps? So let's try to step back and really make sure that we reframe the words we use so that we can be mentally and verbally agile. All right, let's go to another point, number 4. Number 4 says, no, it takes more than thinking. No, it takes more than thinking. Now, why is this important that it takes more than just thinking? A lot of times we think affirmations is about simply visualizing and affirming alone, but will not yield results. It's more than visualization and affirmation that will bring it into actualization. Otherwise, we'd see. So it's important that you be clear on where you want to go. All right, write that down. I want to be clear on where I want to go. I also want to be clear on who I want to be. Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up in this situation? I had to make some decisions on something that I wasn't sure how I was going to show up. Then I had to ask myself, where do I want to go in this, and who do I want to be? Where do I want to go and who do I want to be? And when I begin to think about where I want to go with this and who I want to be in this, then I began to think there was a different level of empowerment that came when I sat with that thought. So I want you to ask yourself right now, whatever it is that you're experiencing, I want you to think through this. Take your time with this. And let's think about, again, this is all Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're thinking about our minds, we're thinking about our emotions, we're thinking about our thoughts, we're thinking about our ideas. And ask ourselves, I want to be clear on where I want to go and who I want to be. In other words, what's my GPS? How am I locating myself? What's my navigation? See, one thing we learned about navigation is what? If you get off course, you'll always be told how to get back on course. There's a recalculation and there's a keep going, a keep pressing that happens when you recalculate. So I would encourage us, when we talk about no, it takes more than thinking, that is about knowing how do you want to show up? Where do you want to go? Where do I want to go? And what do I want to be? What do I want to be in this? And when I begin to ask that question, I begin to allow myself to make different choices now. I can make different choices, a more empowered choice when I'm walking into circumstances, when I'm walking into a situation, when you're walking into something that even can potentially trigger you. You now can say, who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? so that now it's bigger than visualization and affirmation. I have now empowered myself. All right. So again, we're working on how do we actualize your affirmations, because it's not enough just to think it and to say it. It's more than thinking. It is also about asking those types of questions. All right, let's go to the next point. Number 5, remember it's not all about you. Remember, it is not all about you. Okay, wait a minute. I thought affirmations are about me. Actually, affirmations are about we. Here's what I mean by that. You know, I want to encourage you also in affirmations and actualizing them is to step back and see the bigger picture. Let's step back and let's see the bigger picture here. The bigger picture is to help you take the weight off of your shoulders when you see the bigger picture, and we begin to say, you know what, it's not really all about me anyway. I'm part of something bigger. I'm part of a larger group. I'm part of a larger tribe. So I don't have to take all of this on by myself. So I'm going to step back and I'm going to examine and look at the bigger picture here. That might mean looking at other people and other factors involved. And then from there, I add even a greater value. Like somebody might say, I have limitless potential. Let's just say that's part of your affirmations. I have limited potential, limitless potential, or if I say I am successful, then when we are recognizing that it's not all about you, I'll say, I have limited potential as part of this team. I'm successful as we are growing and thriving together. In other words, if the project is successful, fantastic. But if the project is not successful, you don't want to put your self-worth in the outcome of a project. Can I say that again? You don't want to put your self-worth in the outcome of a project. We do that all the time, don't we? So we don't want to put our self-worth in how many people follow us. I would love everyone to follow me right now. Like everything that I do. Go ahead, give me some hearts if you can today. But I also recognize that my self-worth cannot be based upon the outcome of a project. All right. So when I recognize, again, we go back to my point that remember, it's not all about you. It's not all about me. Now, I know social media tells us it's all about me, right? It's all about my hashtags. It's all about my hearts. It's all about my thumbs ups. It's all about my likes. And I understand that it has its place. I want to encourage us that if we're going to actualize affirmations, then we becomes bigger than me. And so I now step back and I examine the larger picture, focus less on myself and more in the task at hand and how it's connected to the larger group of people. All right, let's go to our next point. Recognize the things you can't control. Oh, now this is a huge one for those of us that like to be in control, for those of us that want to predict the weather, those that want to even predict other people's responses. So we cannot control. What are some things we can't control? I cannot control the weather, but I can control what I put on that protects me from the rain. So we need to consider, let me recognize the things I can't control. Number one, I cannot control other people. I cannot control other people. And so because I can't, and I recognize that I can influence other people. So there are areas that I cannot control, and there are areas that I can influence. So we can work through them. When we're faced with specific situations, we may not be able to control, but we can influence. I went through a lot of self-doubt and condemnation because, again, I thought it was about me and I wanted to control a situation that had fallen apart and thinking, well, maybe if I did this, then this would happen. You ever had that if-then mentality? If-then can stop us from actualizing an affirmation. Well, if I do this, then maybe this will work. If I do this, then maybe this will work. Perhaps I'm not to do anything except for focusing on the reality, not suppressing the negative thoughts, seeing the reality, being mentally and verbally agile. Know it's more than thinking. And now I'm stepping back and saying, who do I want to be? And where do I want to go with this? And remembering it's not all about me and recognizing I cannot control this. And so because I cannot control this, it is okay to let it run its course. Let it run its course. There are things that we cannot control, and it's okay to be in a place to choose to recognize, I'm gonna let this be. I will let this be. And then I will begin to ask myself, going back to the realities and the other questions about developing mental agility, right? Where do I want to be in this? How do I want to show up? It's important. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Dr. Brown. Good. Move myself out of the center. Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about today. So when we do that, we take a step back and we can show up in a more positive light where that affirmation is now actualized. Again, some comments coming in. Self-compassion. Thank you for that, Carmela. Absolutely. We begin to move ourselves. And this is important that we're recognizing it. Here are a few more comments about our words. Intentional in how we use our words. All right. Our words have power. They have ability. They have capacity. They're potent. All right. Verbal vehicles. So recognizing the things you can't control. All right. And our last point here for today is when it all gets too much. When it all gets too much, what do we need to do? We need to reach in, we need to reach out, or we need to reach up. I know that sounds very probably just, okay, blasé, but you know what? Sometimes we need to reach in or we reach out in our community or we reach up in our inspiration. When we want to actualize an affirmation, right? What community do we have around us? And so therefore, in my life, I appreciate those that when I reach in and I reach up, I also have reached out. And as a result, I got the transformation. I was able to get back on track. People in my life that didn't let me stay in those narratives. Being held accountable for our narratives that we create. Perhaps I created some narratives and I needed to shift the narrative. And so when reaching in, I was able to look at my stories. In reaching up, I was able to express my faith. And in reaching out, I now can get back on track because I am around others who will not allow me to continue in my narrative. It's important. So I know this is more of a lesson today, really a conversation, but these are principles of helping us navigate how do we actualize our affirmations, that it goes beyond avoiding those negative thoughts and really thinking through, let's not suppress them. Let's allow them to be there so that as those come, we can reframe it. It's just like writing an essay, writing out maybe the first thesis and you're writing out your thoughts, your formative thoughts, your introduction. There are times you got to do a rough draft. And sometimes thoughts are like rough drafts. We can revise them. We can revise the rough drafts. And then we can make it a different script to our mindsets. So folks, I just want to encourage us here. Again, let's think through these principles of how to actualize affirmation. Let's avoid suppressing negative thoughts. We gave some examples there. And so if you find yourself getting critical, get curious. If you find yourself getting critical, get curious. And then you'll see yourself reframe the rough draft of your thoughts. See the realities of it, seeing what's there, and not allowing ourselves to lie to ourselves, right? Nothing wrong with acknowledging where we are, developing mental agility, working on eliminating the no one, always, and never mentalities, not making generalizations like that. All right. Asking yourself real honest questions and moving beyond extremist perspectives. Know it takes more than thinking and removing myself out of the center, right? It's more than thinking. It's about becoming clear on where you want to go and who you want to be. That'll help provide you with the proper navigation. Remember, it's not all about you. Let's step back and let's examine the bigger picture and recognize the things that we can't control, but we can influence them. And lastly, when it gets too much, when it's all overwhelming, let's reach in, let's reach up, and let's reach out so that we can minimize our stories and our narratives. All right. So I hope today tea time was empowering. If you're still out there, share with us what's your takeaway for today? What would be your takeaway from today's tea time? Would love to hear from you. Next week, want to just encourage you. We will be back here. We have a special guest that will be with us next Tuesday, a mental health practitioner, Ravella Nesbitt, and she will be on. She's an author, a business owner, and a mental health professional. And I think it's important that we have our first guest on Tea Time, so that'll be really great. Looking forward to hearing from her, and we'll be here on location at the Renewal Center. As you are connecting with us, I want to encourage you. We do have our focus on revealing Christ, renewing minds, restoring lives, and reforming culture. That's our 4 principles here at the Renewal Center. And this is part of our renewing minds and restoring lives values. And so if you would like to partner with us, we're still in the process of building up our media center where we can produce more quality videos for our mobile app. If you have not downloaded it, please go to your Apple store or your Google store or Android store and type in the Renewal Center, and you can download our mobile app. If you'd like to donate to the Renewal Center, you can donate through our mobile app. We have a giving option there, or you can go to our website. It is pinned here on the comments. You can go to our website, www.therenewalcenters.com/live, or you can text to give us. You text the Renewal Center and to that number, and you can support us that way. We're in the process of building that out, so we definitely would love your support and your partnership. Please consider us as an organization that you can partner with and support. If the Tea Time Tuesdays and other content that we are distributing is there for you, please make sure that you become a part of it. And we would love to really have you on board, especially if you're ever in the Concord, Charlotte, North Carolina area like Nicole is. She decided to come by and gave us and blessed us with tea, and we appreciate her giving. And in that giving, we know that there is increase that comes because when we offer hospitality, we also receive it. So we want to thank her for her generosity. For any of you that are out there that would like to contribute, please see that on your screen, and you can donate and support the Renewal Center. So next week, we'll have a special guest. We're so excited about next week. Looking forward to that. I'm also going to be doing my Change Matters podcast next Thursday as well. So it's been an incredible week. Let's continue to encourage each other so that we can actualize our affirmations, okay? I hope that this has been strength to you. We'll be reaching out to some of you that regularly come on the Renewal Center Tea Time Tuesdays. We'd like to get maybe some of your testimonies or maybe some of your quotes on how Tea Time Tuesday has been edifying to you and affirming to you. We'd like you to come on board and talk with us, and perhaps we can post some of your comments, what you've gleaned from this, from our sessions that we have. And again, yes, Nicole, thank you again. We appreciate you being a part and being here. So again, everyone, thank you so much for being a part of Tea Time Tuesday today. I'm Patrick Brown, Executive Director of Culture and Context here at the Renewal Center. And we're just so excited about you being a part. And again, thanks so much. And remember, I am Renewal. Talk with you soon.
Hello, my name is Carmela E. Head.
Hello, everybody. I'm Prophet Hope Milton.
Hi, I'm Patrick J. Brown, Executive Director of Culture and Context of the Renewal Center.
Here at the Renewal Center, it is the center for prophetic art, thought, voice, and action.
The one thing I love about the Renewal Center is the core values, which we're revealing Christ, renewing minds, we're restoring lives, and reforming community. And we know that the only way that we can do that is to reveal Christ to everyone.
That's right. If any person is in Christ, that person will be and can be a new creation. You've been created to reveal Christ. That's right. Christ in you, being born from above, being born again, being generated from a higher place, which is Christ. In you, the hope of glory.
And when I think about renewal, I think about continual growth. We all have the capacity. We all have the very much capacity to move forward and to expand ourselves. So that's what growth and renewal is all about here at the Renewal Center.
So excited to be here. I hope that you will continue to connect. This is an awesome vision. And I'm just excited about everything that God is doing in the Renewal Center here in Concord, North Carolina.
I am.
And I am
Renewal.